you. In this pleasant night time, I warmly welcome our Arjun sir and the presenters. It is one of the opportunity to show their talents and critically analyze the literary topics. I know all the presenters are eagerly waiting to show their talents. First I call upon Arnavi to talk about her topic.
Good evening to you all. Today I am going to present about the prose The Lumber Room by Saki. The Lumber Room was written by the Hector Hugh Monroe, a British writer who is better known by the pen name Saki, and his stories depict the hypocrisies in the society of that time, of when the Shaggy was living. After his mother's death, he was sent back to his England and brought to the England and his cruel aunts who became the models of which Shaggy based many of the characters in the story. And in this prose also, because of his aunts, the Shaggy characterized the Anne character according to the character of the Anne. And this prose is taken from the Beast and the Super Beast, published in 1914, and through it was the through this first published in newspaper. Here Shaggy depicts his suffering during his early ages. Through this literature masterpiece, Shaggy portrays the struggles of the children under the over-controlling nature of the guardians or the parents. Most of the Shaggy stories are based on the upper class of England, and the lumber room is a storeroom which is in the upper class houses, and the background and the setting of this prose is something associated with the high class family in the England. And we all know that here the poet mentioned the Jagabaro, which is the seaside where the aunt decided to go and relax in the frost, and decided to take the rest. And here the lumber room is a prose which was written by Shaggy based on his harsh experiences, which he had to undergo because of his cruel two aunts. The biography of the H. Monroe tells that he was grown under the rude aunts who didn't give any freedom to him, and this theme was portrayed through this emotional prose. And we can identify that the writer of this prose satirically wrote this story to mock the people who have over controlling nature towards their children. And by writing this prose, the poet wants to convey the reality that over controlling nature of the parents may affect their children's creativity and imaginative thinking. Nowadays, not only nowadays, but also in ancient times as well, many parents think that when they control their children, they can be good people in the society. But we all know that controlling is a good thing, but over controlling is not advisable for the children, because when the parents have the habit to over control their children, it affects their children not only physically but also mentally. It affects their studies, and it affects their extracurricular activities as well. And nowadays we can see in our schools many students are telling that my parents didn't allow to do this, so on. And it is also similar to that society as well. And through this amazing prose, the Shaki wants to depict that how the over controlling nature affects the children in their creativity and imaginative power. And when we come to analyze this prose, we can divide this prose in two parts. The writer focuses on the adult world versus children worlds. Let's see the prose in a brief way. In this short story, Nicholas' character is a very interesting character, and it seems as very intelligent character who is the protagonist of this prose. He is presented as a child who is portrayed that he is enjoying the fruit of the childhood, behalf, beyond many struggles and obstacles. The story opens with a very special pleasure of the event to the sand of a jackbro organized by his aunt Cruland, and another para points that Nicholas is refusing to eat the wholesome bread which with the milk, and he points out there is a alleged frog in it. Here, the readers have a doubt that how could the breakfast bowl has a frog, and it it enhances our thinking about in a critical way. First, the Nicholas words are ignored by the aunt uh, and the older and wiser and better people. When he showed his bowl, they accept there is a frog in it, and we all know that it's Nicholas' uh, witty thing that we can understand that the Nicholas is the only person who can put the frog in the uh, breakfast bowl. Anne was not pleased, however, to find what's the hidden motive of the Nicholas to put the frog in the breakfast bowl and get the punishment. But he didn't think uh, in a big way. He think in a box, and as a punishment the Anne decides to keep Nicholas at the home and send other children to Jacob Road to play the sands. Here we can understand that she may think that Nicholas will be sorry to miss the fun outing, but Nicholas does not mind staying in home. Uh, he he take this as an amazing opportunity to see the lumber room, which is always captivated by the ant and the authoritative dealers. And here many critics says that this is a huge mistake of the Anne, that she doesn't understand the children well. She thinks that if she gives the punishment, Nicholas will feel sorry, but here he leaves a very big mistake. Here Nicholas take this punishment as an amazing opportunity. This happened maybe the reason of the generation gap, where the aunt comes as represents the adult world and the Nicholas represents the children world, and they have a very big gap to understand each other. But Nicholas knows the children will not enjoy themselves because his girl cousin scratched her knee on her way, and Bobby's boots are too tight. But here we can understand that Anne didn't understand these things, but Nicholas can understand these two troubles of his boy cousin and girl cousin. And this draws the aunt as a very harsh woman who didn't even concern about the children's health or children's pains. After the children leaving, the aunt tells Nicholas to stay out of the gooseberry garden as further punishment. Aunt think that when he when she punished Nicholas to not to go to the Jackborough, he definitely goes to the gooseberry garden. But Nicholas' mind is very imaginative, so he think beyond this and plan to take a glance in the lumber room. Convinced that Nicholas will try to get into the garden just because he was told not to, she then positioned herself she positioned herself in front of the garden, where she can watch the doors to the gooseberry garden. Nicholas makes a couple of attempts to snag by his aunt just to confirm there's her concern or not. He then slips back into the house and steals the key to the way of lumber room. He has long wished to see what is inside the mysterious lumber room, which is always kept locked. And here we can understand that aunt didn't allow the children to see the things, and the Nicholas wants to see the things in the lumber room. Here we can see that the things in the lumber room uh, are ordinary things for ants, where Nicholas views those things in an extraordinary level which the aunt could not even think about it. Inside the lumber room, Nicholas is delighted to find all the sorts of fantastic treasures. His aunt keeps her home undecorated, and she stores away all the nice things in the lumber room. Uh, this incident shows that Anne as a very harsh character who didn't want to experience the children in a well manner. The act of the aunt bring the image of the ant as a strange and the uninteresting fellow who is very harsh. Nicholas is fascinated by the framed tapestry depicting a hunter with a stag, and he wonders if the huntsman see the wolves coming towards him, and whether the man and his dogs will be able to cope with them. And it portrays the rich imaginative power of Nicholas, who has a power to think beyond the tapestry. He has an ability to think beyond the tapestry. He then goes on to examine other interesting objects in the room: decorative candles, a duck shaped teapot, a box full of brass figures, and captivating book full of colorful illustrations with rare beautiful birds, which tempts Nicholas' mind and give the Nicholas as an imaginative person. After some time, the aunt becomes suspicious of Nicholas' long absence and starts to search for him in the garden. Nicholas hears her calling for him in the gooseberry garden, pretending to see him in hiding there. He then hears her sing and cry out for help, help, help. He goes out of the lumber room, locks the lumber room, and um, returns a key. It portrays the Nicholas as a very witty and very intelligent character who knows to cope to the situation. He then goes over to Frank's garden to answer the call. From the other side of the wall, the aunt tells Nicholas that she has fallen into the empty rainwater tank and cannot get it get it out. And she wants the help of the Nicholas as well. She then tells him to bring a ladder to her to help her. Nicholas reminds her that he is not allowed to enter the gooseberry garden by his aunt. The aunt commands the order, but Nicholas pretends he does not believe it is his aunt speaking him, but the devil is tempting him. He says he thinks the evil one is trying to tempt him. When she agrees to have strawberry jam for tea, um, if he will bring the ladder, Nicholas declares it cannot be his aunt speaking, because the aunt earlier says that there was no jam left, but then he says that there is a strawberry jam for tea. Having sufficiently enjoyed himself, Nicholas walks away by refusing the aunt's words. The aunt is later found and rescued by the kitchen maid in the evening, and the evening tea is taken in silence. The children are, we all know that in the final part, the narrator says that the children who enter the Brosi are unhappy after the miserable outing. Here, the narrator points out that the outing is not happy, it's only a miserable outing. The tide was high, so there was no sand to play, and the Bobby was in a terrible temper because of his tight boots. The aunt maintains a frozen muteness. Nicholas is also silent and thinking about what he sees in the miraculous room and being cheerful by his thinking. And let's analyze the characteristics of Nicholas. Here we can understand that Nicholas comes as a playful child and intelligent child who enjoys his fruitfulness of childhood. And he's a protagonist of this story who gives the flavor to this prose and gives the curiosity amongst the readers. And Nicholas plays the role that the child who is so mischievous, whose brain is so active in the things which has been influencing and which many people see it as ordinary, like art. Because of his nature, he is capable to manage all the situation. Even when his aunt punished him, he didn't care about his words. He used this punishment as a very wonderful opportunity to see the lumber room which he yearns to see for a long days. And we can consider Nicholas as a child who is very eager to know new things. When he was in the lumber room, he was excited to see all the things, and when he saw the tapestry, his imagination power was fired, and um, he was able to understand the meaning of the tapestry, and he was able to understand thing beyond this tapestry. Moreover, Nicholas is portrayed as a small boy who is very intelligent and smart. Maturity here, Nicholas' maturity is especially very clear, and compared with other children and compared with the behaviors of the children generally, Nicholas does not shed a tear because of the punishment. He only used this punishment as an opportunity, and this portrays the amazing maturity of that small child. But in contrast, his girl cousin weeps when she scraped her knees, and his boy cousin Bobby's boots are tight, and that makes him hot tempered. The other children suffer without complaining, but Nicholas is able to cope with the punishment, able to overcome these punishments, and able to able to make the obstacles as the way to his happiness. Let's analyze the characteristic of the aunt. Here we can understand that the aunt represents the adult world who fails to admire the real life. She is the antagonist of this process as well, and she is the hidden motive which gives the prose as an interesting prose and uh, gives the meaning to this prose. She comes as a person whose life is colorless because of her rude nature and because of her limited thinking, and her cold heart paints through the opinion of the Nicholas. Nicholas tell that you often don't listen when we tell you the important things. It shows the ignoring nature of the aunt, who always ignores the pains of her children. And here we have to understand that parents are very kind towards their children, but here the aunt as a guardian of the Nicholas is so rude, and she doesn't even care about them. And it portrays the the Shaggy's early age, who spends most of the time in the room captivated by the two cruel aunts who didn't allow him to do the things which he wants to do. By telling the rude nature of the aunt, Shaki wants to convey the suffering of him, not only suffering of him, but also the suffering of many children who are growing under their guardians. growing under their harsh guardians. Here, dishonesty is seen when she denies having strawberry jam in the store cupboard, which is pointed out by the Nicholas in the latter part of the prose. The lumber room shows how adults increase their over controlling nature towards children and insecure about their own authority, and how the adults mislead the children by their mentality and by their needs. Shaggy depicts Nicholas as a mischievous boy who is annoying his aunt largely through predicting her actions and feelings. When Nicholas' brother and cousins are taken to Jackbro, Nicholas does not cry because he is perfectly aware that his son is being upset in very things, and he didn't know how to enjoy the life, and he didn't know how to make children very cheerful and happy. Although a child in a such situation is expected to react by weeping or crying and being upset. Nicholas refrains from such behavior because he is mature enough to understand the circumstances of the situation, the circumstance and the characteristic of the people. Similarly, Nicholas' entry into the lumber room is a carefully planned mission which shows that he's organized and he's capable of enjoying and planning the things which the aunt and other characters in the novel didn't know enough enoughly. Nicholas had even practiced turning a key in the keyhole of the door in the entering the lumber room in the school. When Nicholas gains access to the lumber room, he makes sure that he makes sure to sprinkle some dust on the old books after going through them. So on, the aunt didn't understand, didn't suspect there is a person who enters into the lumber room. Ultimately, Nicholas' intelligence makes it possible for him to subvert his aunt's authority power and have truly enjoyable day despite of having a grounded and gloomy day because of his aunt's mood. And it shows how the Nicholas behavior intelligently leaves the situation very cheerful. Moreover, by introducing this prose to our society, poet wants to convey the generation gap between two generations and how the wrong behavior of the parents or their guardians affect their own children in their creative manner and the imaginative power of the children. Thank you for hearing.
That was very nice from Arnavi. Thank you for your presentation. Next, I call Aunt Tanisika to talk about her topic.
Good evening to you all. Today I would like to talk about Rambaro. First of all, I would like to tell what is short story. Short story is a piece of fictional writing. Usually, it contains less than 5,000 words. Short story contains some basic elements such as character, setting, plot, conflict, resolution and climax, dialogue, protagonist and antagonist, etc. A brief fictional work that usually contain one major conflict and at least one character. It's known as short story. If I now I wanted to talk about the author who writes the story Lambaro. Hector Hook Munro, he also known as H.H. Munro, was born on 18 December and died on 13 November 1916. He was better known by the pen name Saki. He was a British, Saki is a British writer. And Munro was mostly raised by his aunts with severe punishments and strict rules. These bad childhood memories made him to write this story. Um, and if I wanted to talk about the character, now I wanted to talk about the characters. Nicholas and the aunt, these are the main two characters in the Lamparo. And Nicholas is the protagonist, and the aunt means aunt is the antagonist. And the other character that contain that are in the story are Bobby, younger brother of Nicholas, and the boy cousin, girl cousin, and kitchen maid. Um, Now I want to talk about the topic of this story, Lamparo. A lumber room means a storeroom which consists of extra furniture and also all their valuable things are stored. Those things are not used in day-to-day life. That is why they are stored. Normally, lumber room is covered with dust and spider cobweb as no one is paying much attention to the lumber room. Um, and the things that are stored, the things that's stored in lumber room, inside a lumber room. And the plot of the story, the plot consists of four different parts such as exposition, complication, and the climax resolution. Exposition means the expose of the incident and the characters, and the complication means the conflict among the characters, and climax means the turning point of the story, and the resolution means the final result or conclusion. um, the exposition, I wanted to come to the point of exposition. Nicholas get into disgrace with his aunt, so his cousins are to be taken to the Jagborough Sands that afternoon, and he has to stay home. The aunt was absolutely sure that the boy will get into the gooseberry garden, which is forbidden to the kids. So the aunt warns and ordered Nicholas not to enter to the garden. Uh, and the complication, Nicholas get into the lumber room, a storehouse of unimagined treasures. Every single item brings life and imagination to Nicholas, and is symbolic of what the adults that they in the real world lacks. Um, and the climax of the story climax of the story is while Nicholas is admiring the coloring of the mandarin duck, the voice of his aunt comes from the gooseberry garden. So she has slipped into the rainwater tank and cannot get out. She commands the boy to bring her the ladder, and he ignores it, saying that it may be the sound of the evil one. The aunt realizes that her punishment has boomeranged on her. And the resolution of the story is the furious aunt maintain the frozen silence of one who has suffered undignified detention in a rainwater tank for 35 minutes. Nicholas is also silent in the absorption of an enchanting picture of a hunter and a stag. And Now I wanted to talk about the main character, Nicholas. The Nicholas is the protagonist of this story, as you all know. Everything he does is about testing the limits of authority. Nicholas makes his aunt furious because her punishments have no power over his life. Curious and imaginative nature, Nicholas, being alone in the house, discovers a world of pure freedom and joy in the lumber room. The story ends with Nicholas in disgrace as usual, but completely untroubled by it as he silently reveals in his private free world of imagination. Mischievous and imaginative boy. Uh, and if I talk about the aunt is a wet blanket and a spoiled spot. She always spread the negative vibe to the kids, so she called as the spoiled spot. She's an unimaginative self-proclaimed adult who demonstrates a very negative attitude towards the children. She has a habit of devising a treat for the children for the sole purpose of excluding one or all of them as a punishment. She does this in order to assert her authority. She often does not listen to the children when they tell her things. A small-minded woman of few ideas with immense power of concentration. If we compare compare Nicholas and the aunt, Nicholas have the broad-minded and full of ideas, and the aunt has small-minded woman with a few ideas. And Nicholas have huge power of imagination, and the aunt does not have power of imagination. And in this story, Nicholas and aunt, they both are stubborn. And Nicholas acts against the authority of the aunt, and the aunt acts spread her authority. And Nicholas is restricted and operates by adult control, and aunt consider her to be superior as they are wiser and better people. And themes of this story, the difference between the aunt's world and the world of children, generation gap. And children may be more innovative than the adults. The adults must be very careful in punishing the children. The stupidity, moral degradation, hypocrisy, and ambition boomerang on the person who emits them in a hostile manner. Thank you for hearing me.
That was very nice from Kanishika. Thank you for your presentation. Next, I call Tamiliman to talk about his topic.
Good evening, all of you. Today I am going to speak about the Lagur attack by Kumarasangharas. The Lagur attacks come under the first passages. It's an attack from Kumarasangharas lecture delivered on 5th of July 2011 at Lord's. Colin Cowrie was a batsman and a bowler who played cricket for the England team during 1954 to 1975. He was a member of MCC Club, which was governing body of cricket in England and worldwide. As a cricketer, Kumara Sanghara had the privilege to deliver his lecture at this event on 5th of July. He has never experienced about the bomb attack. It is a bomb attack. It is a first experience of that bomb attack. Culture and opportunities for Sri Lankan cricket, as well as moving recording of the terrorist attack on their team in a bus in Lahore, Pakistan. In Colombo, the people have normally luxury life. Children went to school, people went to work. He played his cricket. The Lahore attack took place on 3rd of March 2009 at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, Pakistan. When the Sri Lankan team was on there to play, third day of second test, the bus was fired upon by 12 men's guns. 6 Pakistan policemen and 2 civilians died, whereas 6 members of Sri Lanka's team were injured. Among them, Sanghara was a lucky person. He is not attacked by this bomb attack. Kumara Koskanda Sanghara, world-class cricketer, best known as Kumara Sanghara, is one of the leading cricketers. He has received international recognition and acclamation. He was born on 27 October 1977 in Matala County. He is youngest of 4 children. He has 2 sisters and 1 brother. His father was a lawyer, sportsman, and ardent lover of literature, art, and etc. He studied in Candy College. He is addressed as a Sangha by his teammates and his fans and loved by many Sri Lankans as well as foreigners. He is a left-hand batsman, not only as a top order batsman. He used to play as the wicketkeeper too. He has been ranked as the number 1 test batsman in the cricket world several times during his career. Sanghara was important members of the team won the 2014 World Class T20. Sanghara captained the national team from 2008 to 2011, stepping down after the 2011 World Cup finals. The same year, he was named ODI Cricketer Year at the ICC Cricket Awards ceremony. The Lahore attack is taken from the speech delivered by Kumara Sanghara on the 5th of July 2011, being a multilingual and fluent speaker of English. Multilingual means who speak more than 2 languages.